There's a harsh truth: life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you deserve. I once wanted a better life. I wanted success, wealth, and recognition. But I lived as if things would just happen for me. I wanted a lot, but did very little. And then I realized wanting doesn't change your life. Consistent action does. Have you ever started something full of determination, only to lose that motivation a few days later? Have you ever set a goal to change yourself, only to break your own promise? If yes, you're not alone. Most people start strong, but fade away quietly. The problem isn't that you lack dreams. It's that you lack consistency to turn those dreams into reality. Life will test you the moment you decide to change. When you want to wake up early, the alarm clock is your test. When you want to start working out, fatigue will ask you, do you really need this? When you want to build a career, challenges will ask, are you truly committed? Every day you face a choice. Choose ease or choose growth. Choose comfort or choose the better version of yourself. I say this from my own life experience. What you do every day matters more than what you do occasionally. So stay until the end of this video, because Principle #7 may change the entire way you see the power of consistency. It's the missing piece most people lack, and the reason they fail right before the finish line. Today, I want to help you rebuild faith in yourself by learning to stay consistent even when things get hardest. Principle 1, choose consistency, not excitement. I've met many people who start with a bang and end in silence. They set beautiful goals, promise themselves they'll change, and in the beginning, everything shines like a sunrise. But that initial spark fades just like a flame that burns bright at first but dies quickly without oxygen. Our biggest mistake is believing that early passion will carry us through, but it won't. Passion opens the door. Consistency walks you through it. I used to be a professional starter. Every idea thrilled me. Every project excited me. But a few weeks later, I disappeared from my own promises. Then one day I asked myself a chilling question. How many things have I vowed to start but never once finished? I realized the problem wasn't the goals, it was me. I love the feeling of starting, but I lacked the courage to continue. Do you recognize this? Ordinary people work when they feel like it. Successful people work even when they don't. Consistency is standing up even when today feels off. It's continuing even when no one notices. It's persisting even when progress feels painfully slow. Because every day you keep going is proof that I am someone I can trust. You don't need to do a lot. You just need to do it regularly. One small step a day is still a step forward. One page, a few minutes of movement, one goal revisited if repeated long enough, can create an entirely new person. Excitement gets you started. Consistency gets you finished. And when you learn to choose action over emotion, you won't have to hope for success. You'll ensure it. Choose one thing you once abandoned and go back to it today. Even just 10 minutes, but do it wholeheartedly. Because the biggest problem for most people isn't starting slow. It's never finishing at all. And that's exactly what I'll share next. Principle 2, finish what you start. Think back to the last time you truly finished something difficult. Not small daily tasks, but a goal that required patience, endurance, and pushing through when no one was cheering. If it takes you a long time to remember, that's already a warning sign. Because in life, people aren't judged by what they start, but by what they see through to the end. I used to have dozens of unfinished plans. Every time I faced obstacles, I'd tell myself comforting excuses. Maybe I should take another path. Maybe this isn't for me, or I'll continue tomorrow. Year after year, I saw no real achievements, just a pile of unfinished dreams and a person losing faith in himself. I had to face a simple but painful truth. No one rewards half efforts. The world only honors what's completed. You can have the best idea, the greatest skill, but if you quit when things get tough, it all amounts to zero. On the other hand, even if you have just one small talent, but see it through, you'll still win. I remember my first public talk. The room was prepared for 50 people, but only 3 showed up. How do you think that felt? Disappointing, discouraging, and my pride whispered, go home, nobody cares. But then another voice inside said, Jim, you made a promise. Finish what you started. So I gave those 3 people everything I had. Years later, one of them found me and said, that night saved my life. That's when I understood. You never know whose life, or even your own, your persistence today might change. Sometimes you're just one small step away from the result, but most people quit right there. They stop because they don't see progress yet, because of others' doubts, because they've lost the early excitement, and they close the door that was almost open. Right now, ask yourself, what did you once decide to do but abandoned? Halfway, a new habit, an unfinished project, a dream covered in dust. Choose one, just one, and go back to it, even if all you can give today is 10 minutes. There's no feeling more powerful than finishing something you know you were meant to finish. Because every time you follow through, you rebuild your self-respect. You tell yourself, I am someone who keeps my word. I am someone I can trust, and the person who can trust themselves can go anywhere they choose. But then there will come times when even as you stay consistent and complete, each step life still brings its cold winter's opportunities close. Things stall, and you start asking, am I on the wrong path? That's the real test. And how you stand firm in the winter of your life will determine whether you'll ever reach your spring. Next, let's move on to one of the most important lessons, Principle 3. Stand firm through the winter of life. There will come a time in every journey when no matter how hard you try, the results seem frozen in place. You do everything right. You keep learning. You finish what matters. You stay consistent despite exhaustion, yet every door still feels closed. The harder you try, the more it feels like life is working against you. And then you start to wonder, am I on the wrong path? Should I give up? Before it's too late, I call that the winter of life. Winter is when you plant seeds but see nothing grow. Winter is when you sacrifice so much but see no return. Winter is when your mind screams, stop, this is pointless. But you know what? It's in winter that roots grow deep. It's in winter that the muscles of willpower are forged. Winter may look lifeless, but beneath the surface, life is preparing to bloom. I've been through a harsh winter myself. There was a time I was completely broke with not enough money to buy groceries, feeling like a total failure. I did everything I knew, reading, learning, working hard every day, but life seemed utterly indifferent. I wanted to quit more than once. But one belief kept me standing. Winter is just a season and spring always return. Success doesn't come to test your desire. It comes to test your consistency when desire fades. The irony of life is this. The moment you most want to give up is usually the moment you're closest to your breakthrough. You just need to take one more step, but most people stop right before that final second. Remember this. It's not talent that makes champions, not opportunity, not luck. Champions are made of those who walk through the winter without losing themselves. If your life feels cold today, if your effort has yet to bear fruit, if your faith is shaking, don't call it failure. Call it training. Winter is simply preparation for those who deserve spring. When you feel most discouraged, do one small thing to prove you're still in the game. Just one thing, but do it now. Send this message to life: I'm not done yet. I'm still here. Because surviving the winter isn't enough. There will come a time when life looks you straight in the eyes and challenges you. You say you want success. Prove it. That's the defining moment when you stand before the door of your breakthrough and the urge to quit rises stronger than ever. And that's what I want to share next, Principle 4. When you most want to quit, your closest to your breakthrough. There's a strange pattern I've seen time and again. People tend to quit right at the moment they're about to succeed. Not earlier, not later, right before the turning point they stop. Have you ever felt that way? You've worked for so long, tried so many things, sacrificed so much, yet life stays silent. And in a weary moment, you sigh and say, maybe I've done enough. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it's time to give up. But what you don't see is that the result is closer than ever. The effort you've poured in hasn't vanished. It's been quietly building the foundation for your breakthrough. When I started my speaking career, I dreamed of helping many people. But instead of being welcomed, I met disappointment after disappointment. Sometimes only a few people showed up. Sometimes no one paid attention. There were nights I went home, stared at the ceiling and asked myself, why am I doing this? Am I fooling myself? But I kept going. Not because I could see hope ahead, but because I refused to let failure decide my future. Then one small event led to another. Someone introduced me to someone else, and doors began to open. One day, everything started to change. Looking back, I realized that if I had quit just a week, a day, or even an hour earlier, I wouldn't have the life I have today. Sometimes life tests you by placing the key to success right behind the door you're about to walk away from. You can't see it, but it's there. You don't realize it, but every step brings you closer. Most people think failure happens when they fall. In truth, failure only happens when they stop getting up. And here's one of the greatest truths I've ever learned. The moment you most want to quit is the moment you must push harder than ever. When your mind doubts, when your body aches, when your emotions want to retreat, that's not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're about to enter a place few ever reach. If you're exhausted today, let me tell you this: rest if you must, but don't leave the fight. Because maybe just one more action and the miracle will appear. Think of something you've almost given up on. Pause and change direction, but don't stop completely. Give it one more day, one more step, one more chance. It might just be the final step life has been waiting for you to take. But to keep moving when surrounded by challenges, you need a flexible mindset like a river. able to change its course but never its destination. And that's the strength you're about to discover next. Principle 5. Adapt like a river. If there's one thing in this world that perfectly symbolizes true consistency, it's a river. Watch closely. A river always flows toward the sea. It never forgets its destination, but its journey is never a straight line. When it meets a rock, it bends. When it meets a cliff, it cascades down as a waterfall. When it meets solid ground, it weaves its way through. It changes direction, but never its goal. We humans often mistake persistence for stubbornness. Many people say they're being consistent, but in truth, they're just repeating what doesn't work. That's not consistency. That's rigidity keeping them stuck in place. On the path to your dreams, there will be times when your current method no longer works. What once brought results may suddenly stop doing so. But that doesn't mean your dream is wrong. It only means you need a new way to reach it. I used to think hard work alone was enough, but life taught me that working hard in the wrong way only leads to frustration. For a long time, I clung tightly to one approach, convinced it was the only way. But everything kept blocking me. One door closed, then another. I stayed disappointed until one day I learned a simple yet powerful truth. A river doesn't carve through rock by force, but by persistence and flexibility. When I changed, everything changed. I adjusted my approach. I learned new skills. I discovered paths I had never seen before. And the miracle was, I was still on the same journey toward my dream, but now the road had opened wide. If today you're facing a wall, don't try to smash through it. Observe. Reflect. Find a smarter way around. As long as you keep moving forward, you're still winning. You can slow down, but don't stop. Be like a river, gentle yet unstoppable, flowing past every obstacle on your path. And remember, your goal can stay fixed, but your method must stay flexible. The road may twist, but your destination must stay clear. Hold on to that, and failure becomes only a detour, not the end. Now ask yourself honestly, are you stuck not because your dream is wrong, but because you've clung too tightly to an outdated way of reaching it? If so, don't fear change. Because the right change made at the right time can take you exactly where you were always meant to be. But remember, even when you know how to adapt, the journey will still be long. And to reach the end, you'll need the power of small steps repeated daily, those simple habits that seem trivial but create extraordinary change over time. So in the next part, I'll share with you one of the most important secrets of all successful people, Principle 6, build small daily habits. There's a mistake many people make. They want to change their lives overnight. They want results immediately. They dive in hard, fast, and intensely. Then they burn out, then they stop. And in the end, they return to the starting line even worse than before, because this time they no longer believe they can change. The truth is, the small things you do every day matter more than the big things you only do occasionally. The day I understood this, my life began to change. I stopped chasing gigantic goals only to abandon them quickly. Instead, I started with things so small, I had no excuse to procrastinate. I read every morning, not a whole book, just a few pages. I practiced speaking not in front of hundreds, but in front of the mirror. I wrote down my goals, not whenever I remembered, but every day. And I did those things even when I wasn't in the mood. At first, nothing changed. No one noticed. Sometimes I even doubted I was wasting my time. But as the days went by, those small habits began rebuilding me from the inside. I became more focused, more disciplined, more confident. Each day, I placed another solid brick into the foundation of my life. And then one morning, I wasn't the same person anymore. We often underestimate what we can achieve in a year of consistency, but overestimate what we can achieve in a week of impulse. Success doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small steps repeated. You don't have to run fast. You just have to make sure you don't stop. If today's task takes only 10 minutes, those are 10 minutes shaping your character. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, even with a small action, you're telling yourself, I am someone who finishes what I start. And the more proof you collect, the more unstoppable you become. So don't underestimate a small habit. A mighty tree begins with a tiny seed. A healthy body begins with each short workout. Deep knowledge begins with each page. And an extraordinary life begins with one simple decision repeated every day. Now ask yourself, what is the smallest habit you can start today with no reason to delay? And if you truly want to change your life, start with that and don't miss a single day. But building habits alone isn't enough. Because if you're full of conflicting thoughts on the inside, believing in yourself today, doubting tomorrow, you're building with one hand while destroying with the other. That's why we need the next part, a secret very few people talk about, Principle 7, consistent from the inside out. There's something few people realize: you can't be consistent in action if you're not consistent in thought. Because everything you do begins in the mind. Action is only the shadow of belief. If your thoughts are sometimes strong, sometimes weak, sometimes confident, sometimes doubtful, then your actions will rise and fall the same way. Today, you wake up confident and say, I can do it, but at the first small challenge, the mind turns and asks, who you, or are you just dreaming? It's like pressing the gas and the brake at the same time. The car just shakes in place and goes nowhere. I used to be like that. By day, I was blazing with determination. At night, I clung to doubt. In the morning, I saw myself as someone who could change the world. By evening, I felt like I was nobody. My mind kept pulling me in two opposite directions, and that inner conflict cost me the most precious thing, intrinsic motivation. The turning point came when I understood, if you want to change your life, you must first change the conversation inside your head. Because if your mind keeps replaying a story of failure, you'll live out that script. But if you plant a different story, one of growth ability and a worthy future, you'll begin to act according to that story. From that day on, I practiced an important habit, telling myself what I need to hear, not what fear wants me to hear. And amazingly, when my inner world became consistent, my outer actions became stronger and steadier than ever. You can complete every daily task, but if your mind doesn't believe in the future you're moving toward, you'll always feel tired, unmotivated, and quick to give up. On the other hand, if you're filled with faith and clarity inside, you'll walk firmly even under dark skies, because you know exactly where you're going and why you must get there. Consistency is doing, but true consistency begins with believing. So right now, observe your thoughts. Notice who speaks up each time you want to quit. Do you truly think you're not good enough, or is it just fear trying to protect you from disappointment? If it's fear, thank it, but don't obey it. Let the right belief take the wheel. For the next 7 days each morning when you wake up, say one sentence to yourself, I don't quit, ever. And each night before you sleep, ask yourself, how did I prove that today, day by day, you'll watch a different person grow within you? But even when you're strong on the inside, there's still a decisive factor environment. Because if you're surrounded by people who constantly doubt, complain, and procrastinate, they'll pull you back to the place you've worked so hard to leave. That's why I want you to move on to the next part, where an important truth awaits Principle 8. Choose the right companions. You can have a grand dream, admirable consistency, and good habits nurtured daily. But if you live in an environment that drags you lower than you aspire to be, you'll likely return to the starting line, or worse, abandon your dream forever. I once had friends who saw learning as boring effort as unnecessary and other success as luck. When I began reading every day, they laughed. When I wrote my goals on paper, they mocked. When I practiced speaking, they called me weird. And if I had stayed around them longer, I might have become someone who laughs at others' efforts instead of building my own life. Everyone around you is sending you a message, either keep moving forward or stop, don't try. The dangerous part is that these influences don't arrive as shouts. They arrive as normalcy. They invite you out for one night and then many nights. They tell you to rest just today and then many days. They say, why live so stressed? And slowly you start to believe it. Stagnation disguises itself as comfort. Quitting wears the costume of living in the moment. But one thing I learned from successful people worldwide is you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 constantly procrastinate, you will procrastinate. If those 5 give up when they're tired, you will too. If those 5 don't believe in their future, you won't believe in yours. Conversely, if you're around people with clear goals, good habits, positive attitudes, and consistency, you'll naturally rise. Not because they force you, but because you won't want to be the only one who quits. So be brave enough to reflect who helps you fly higher and who pulls you deeper down, who makes you want to be your best self, and who makes you content with a mediocre life. You don't have to cut anyone out of your life, but you must choose who gets to influence you the most. Build a circle where discipline is respected, goals are shared, and effort is praised. Then even on your hardest days, someone will remind you to get back on track. From today, spend more time with people who have dreams, have discipline, have the desire to grow, and less time with those who always say impossible. Because impossible kills more dreams than failure ever will. But once you're in the right environment, there's one extremely important thing to do: record your journey. Only when you measure can you know whether you're moving forward or slowing down. And that's the secret of those who stay consistent. Let's continue to the next part, where a simple strategy can change all your results. Principle 9, track progress, keep score for your life. One reason many people lose consistency is they don't see themselves improving. They work hard today, then again tomorrow, but because change is so slow, they assume nothing is moving. And when results don't arrive fast enough, they feel hopeless, then quit. Not because they failed, but because they couldn't see they were winning. In sports, every game has a scoreboard. Players know whether they're ahead or behind. They know when to speed up or defend. But in life, most people play without ever looking at the score. They don't track what they've done, they don't record how far they've come, and then they lose faith in their own journey. I've been there. I read every morning. I trained daily. I practiced speaking whenever I could. But without recording it, I felt like I was running in circles. All the effort seemed swallowed by a void. Then I learned something from a successful entrepreneur. If you're not keeping score, you're just practicing, not really playing. From that day, I tracked everything. How many minutes did I read today? How long did I train? Did I keep my promises to myself? And something wonderful happened. The numbers started speaking for me. They showed me clearly I was moving forward. They killed the feeling of doubt. They turned invisible effort into visible results. One journal page marks persistence. 1 X in a week sends a signal of victory. A long streak of days without quitting builds pride. Tracking isn't for showing off to others. It's a reminder that I didn't give up. And the more I tracked, the more motivated I became. Because no one wants to break their own winning streak. Imagine this. If each night you could look back at your day and say, that's 1 point for my journey. Just 1 point a day after a year. You'll have 365 proof that you stood firm, moved forward and stayed consistent. You may be skilled or not, it doesn't matter. You may move fast or slow, it doesn't matter. What matters is you're still in the game. Because only those still playing have a chance to win. But even as you're improving, step by step, something greater is forming within you, a legacy. The end of this journey isn't just success. It's the person you become through each day of consistency. Let's step into the final part where the power of perseverance is returned to you in the most precious form, Principle 10. The legacy of consistency. Imagine one day when you look back on your life, you won't be asking, how much money did I make? Or how many people knew my name? What you'll truly ask is, who did I become after all these years? Because every consistent action you take today doesn't just move you 1 step closer to success. It shapes the person you are becoming. Every morning you rise despite fatigue, every failure you overcome despite discouragement, every promise you keep to yourself, all of it is writing your story. I've met many successful people who made a lot of money, became famous, respected. But when all the glitter faded, nothing was left. Their success stood on the foundation of opportunity, not character. On the other hand, I've witnessed those who are quiet, humble, yet every step they take is as solid as stone. They are the ones who built consistency over the years, and that's why they never crumble. Achievements can vanish, money can disappear, fame can collapse overnight, but the character you build through consistency, no one can take that away. The most valuable thing in life isn't what you achieve, but who you become in the process of achieving it. And if you become someone who stays consistent with what you believe in, you'll leave behind the most beautiful legacy of all, a living proof that an ordinary person can do extraordinary things simply because they never gave up. You may not inspire the whole world, but you can inspire the people around you, your family, your children, your companions. They'll look at you and learn, my parents didn't give up. He walked through every winter of life. She made it so I can too. That's legacy. A life of perseverance, a silent story of persistence, a message that touches hearts without needing to be told aloud. And you know what's amazing? That legacy is built through the days you're living right now. Through the choice you're about to make when this video ends. What will you leave for yourself and for those you love? A crack made of hundreds of times you gave up, or a monument built from the thousands of times you stood up again? The answer lies in the consistency you show right now. At this very moment, speak one thing you promise to do every day, no matter what. One small action, but one that will create a great legacy. This is no longer about achieving goals. This is about building the person you're destined to become. You and I, we've journeyed a long way together in this video. And if you've come this far, it proves that within you burns a fire not easily extinguished. Don't let that fire fade just because the video ends. Don't just watch act. Start building your life today with small, steady steps of consistency. If you want to continue this journey with me, then like this video, so the algorithm knows you want to see more lessons from Jim Rohn. Subscribe to the Jim Rohn Treasures channel so you never miss content that could change your future. Comment below one thing you commit to doing every day, even just 10 minutes, to prove that you are someone who never quits. I want to hear from you. I want to witness your transformation. And I look forward to walking with you until success becomes inevitable. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Jim Rohn, step onto that bridge today, and I'll see you in the next video.